Right, we're live. Let me quickly tweet out the links and then I'll get started.
Where's Oscar? Where is he?
Family.
Hiding.
Where is Sam's not joining?
This man are hiding.
They run.
I sent the link, so it's there. If they can, they can. If they can't, is what it is.
I know Adam was happy, man. Yesterday, the Ukrainians, they done their thing, man.
They done their thing, boy.
Bro, do you know what? I genuinely felt like it was me fighting. I can't even express the feeling of sickness I had, like around round 6, 7.
Round 6, yeah, I was ended.
I was pacing outside the house, yeah, like trying to catch air. Like I was gone, bro. I can't even explain it. Like a genuine fight or flight mode. But yeah, no, I'm so happy, man.
Did anyone else get a chance to rewatch?
Yeah, I did just now.
I haven't rewatched it.
I did just now before this pod. It's probably why I'm even late. I think on second watch, it's a lot less closer than I initially thought. Yeah.
I could imagine that because remember I say in a room when we was watching it, we were saying stuff like, if it's because guys, he was getting caught but because he was blocking it but it was still moving him. It looked like those shots were like clean, collapsed.
Yeah.
For example, yesterday I had first 3 rounds 2-1 Usyk. Today I had 3-0 Usyk.
Yeah, I had 3-0 Usyk yesterday. To be
I said the same thing as well, but I only gave
that was crazy
to Fury because knowing how they're gonna try to skew the cards anyway. Yeah, but when you rewatch it, it's 3-0 Usyk. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ringside Fracas. I'm your host Naeem, and today, after a big, huge fight, probably the biggest fight of the year, we obviously have to get into it. There's so many narratives, so many agendas to run, so much things to do. Let's get into it. Last night, Alexander Usyk beat Tyson Fury to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world in a fight that delivered not only on its hype, not only on its anticipation, it delivered in terms of drama, entertainment, and also its high-level ability. Alexander Usyk almost even stopped Tyson Fury in the 9th round, where there's some controversy, which we'll get into as we come into this pod. But you know how it is. When we've got a big fight, as always, we've got to get the round table around. We've got Jide joining us. Jide, I know you're happy. How you been, bro?
I'm good, man. My pick came true. The only issue was a split decision. It shouldn't have been a split decision. It should have been a UD, but that's different. The right man won. Like I said, everyone was saying Fury's too big, is all this, is all that. Bro, game knows game, man. Usyk is Usyk. He is him. Number 1 pound for pound. But yeah, man, we get into it.
And we've also got Chris joining us. Chris, how have you been after this last night?
Well, I hate to say I told you so, man. That's how I feel, man. That's how I'm feeling. We'll get into it afterwards, though.
And then, obviously, you know, if it's an Usyk fight, we've got to have the Usyk superfan in Adam. Adam, what was last night like?
Oh, bro, a roller coaster, absolute roller coaster for me, but victorious in the end, man. So incredibly happy.
And then, whenever we talk about heavyweights, we always have to get Sate involved. Sate, how have you been, bro?
Listen, yeah, I had Jide saying that his pick almost came true. I had 7-9 Usyk, which was like a bit of a sleeper pick. Almost got it. The referee robbed me, man. The ref robbed me.
Yeah, look, let's get straight into it. I mean, what a fight it was! It was one of the biggest fights of the. It was like I said, it was one of the biggest fights of the year, and it delivered, man, in every aspect. I mean, it was such a good high-level action fight, even from the first couple rounds when we were watching it. You saw both men trying to out-feint each other, trying to out-jab each other. Usyk obviously taking the center of the ring and then trying to back up Tyson Fury and really take it to the bigger 40-pound man. But then kind of middle rounds, Fury making it very difficult for Usyk, making him work hard, making him pay for coming in with uppercuts, brilliant counter uppercuts and hooks around the guard. And in round 6, it looked it was going to go all Fury's way around that time, even so that some people were paying their bets earlier than they should have. But then, where elite champions are made, Alexander Usyk, rallies back, and round 7, 8, 9, probably the best rounds of the fight. And round 9, I mean, what a round that was. Caught Usyk with the left hand that just caught Fury, sorry, with the left hand that took his legs away. And a lot of controversy there, whether or not there should have been a stoppage or whether there should have been a knockdown counted because of the ropes holding up Fury. And then finishes off the fight and becomes the double undisputed and the first 4-belt undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and dethrones Tyson Fury and hands him his first L. So much to get into, so let's just dive straight into it. So Jide, what is your thoughts on last night and how everything unfolded?
Hey man, last night was beautiful, man. First things first, both combatants, both competitors, great fight, 10 out of 10. This is what we want. This is what happens when you have the best fight in the best, and this is why it's so frustrating when we had a situation where we weren't getting the fights we want. Once again, thank you, Turkey Al-Sheikh. Imagine this fight would never have happened without him. We want the best fighters to fight themselves because you get fights like this. Do you know what I mean? Like, that fight yesterday was the best advert for boxing, in my opinion. Like, I'm sure we've got new fans in the sport, and the more fans we can get in the sport, the bigger the sport is. So, but that's my little thing. Go back to the real. The agendas of here. Usyk is who he says he is, man. My boy, listen, this isn't even prime Usyk. Prime Usyk was AJ1. This is a declined Usyk. However, he still had enough in the tank. Now, let's break down the fight. First 2 rounds were all Usyk rounds. And what was he doing in those rounds? Was stepping into Fury's range, pushing him back, going to the body, throwing like combinations when he finally gets in. He was slipping, was catching shots. Like, Fury wasn't doing much. But Usyk was just in front of him, following him all around the ring, cutting the angles. He was pressing amazingly. But Tyson Fury done an elite adjustment. And what he did was, before, he was trying to throw like just stiff single jabs and like maybe like a check hook here and there. And that's what he was doing in the first 2 rounds. However, in round 3 and especially round 4, he adjusted where he throw his jab, but he will leave it a bit longer to basically blind Usyk. So he wasn't throwing his jab to hurt him. Or they did put variations. It was more so throwing his jab to blind Usyk. Then he throws a corkscrew, right uppercut, turn hook to the body, and then he'll go with his left. So he'll go to the body, and then the next time he does it, Usyk will think he's about to go to the body, then he'll come with an uppercut to the chin and he'll land an uppercut. And he just kept doing that. And because of that, Usyk was very tentative because Usyk didn't know what was coming. Usyk didn't know how to get inside. And then whenever he got inside, Fury would just push him off or turn him, throw a check left hook, like feint to throw. Like, he was rattling Usyk. He was rattling him. And in the 6th round, he threw that beautiful uppercut that I think broke Usyk's jaw, because they said Usyk went to the hospital after. I think that's when it was, because you saw Usyk visibly.
Who said that? Fury,
yeah, the post-fight.
believe him.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know. Krasic said it as well.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's where he broke his jaw. It was a peach of a shot. That's probably, apart from obviously the shot in the 9th round, that's probably the shot of the fight. It was a brilliant uppercut, and it rattled Usyk. It hurt him. Obviously, Usyk poker face. He stepped back a bit, and then Fury was just standing. And that's when I not tweeted. That's when we was in the chat saying, "Boy, Fury's showing levels," because he was. I had it 4-2, Fury going into the 7th round. But then the 7th and 8th round, it's like Fury was winning the 7th round again. But then in the last 30 seconds, that's when Usyk made his adjustment. And I said, all Fury kept doing before was blinding him with the jab, and then coming in with right hooks, left hooks, and like it was just basically making Usyk second guess himself. But then what Usyk did is he now stepped on the outside of Fury's left foot, because that's where the jab hand is coming, and then he was throwing like instead of a right jab, it was like a hook jab. It was a weird kind of shot that was coming out of Fury's blind spot a bit. and then he'll throw that, and then he'll throw his left, and then he landed that sweet left hand, and I think it broke Fury's nose, or it done something to his nose because Fury kept pouring after it. And it was in that round, and I saw that adjustment, and I saw him get success. I was like, yeah. And then the way he ended that round, I gave it to Usyk, but some people gave it to Fury, which is fine. So for me, it was 4-3. Then round 8 was basically back to round 1. That was the Usyk round. So it was 4-4 going into the 9th. But Usyk's made the adjustment. And I was like, yeah, we're back. And then that 9th round, oh my God. That left hook, overhand. Remember, we were saying, yeah, Usyk don't normally throw overhands. Like, that was one thing we were saying in a pre-fight. Like, Usyk, he's good. He throws great straight punches, crosses, but he don't really throw overhand lefts like that. But again, like I said, he did that thing where he throws the hook, like it was a right hook kind of shot, and then he just leaned. It's like the AJ Ngannou, like I've never seen Usyk put so much of his body into a shot. It's like he leaned everything into that left hand. Boom! That chin went straight to Azkaban. That chin was gone. The guy was finished. Listen, you don't understand how happy I was, yeah? Because remember I was saying, it was in that when everyone was jumping. He was beating Fury from pillar to post, from left to the right. He was basically punching him up, and he was landing. It wasn't like, you know when you get... Huh?
I thought the fight was done, boy.
Boy, you know, when the man in fights normally get hurt, like, you see the guy throwing shots, a lot of them get missed. Nah, Usyk was landing. That's why, for me, yeah, if the referee, I'll get to that in a minute, he was landing on them shots. He was throwing, and he was putting, like, he was trying to hurt. He was trying to put Fury away. He was hurting.
What's mad is, like, if you look at AJ Usyk won the last round, and then you look at this, like, he never got the actual knockout. So in history, he's not going to be seen as this puncher, but actually he's a puncher. He
has respectable power, bro. Yeah. He was landing those shots like from pillar to post. Fury literally danced around the entire ring, and you could see the referee kept wanting to jump in, but it's like he wanted to save Fury. It's like, no, let me not jump in. Fury might survive this round. And then when he landed that last left hook, yeah, and then Fury just like stumbled and his head hit the turnbuckle.
He was on his way down, boy.
Oh, he was on. Apart from him being on his way down, because Fury hit the turnbuckle and came up, he was completely vulnerable. If you watch the replay, Fury was like this. Like, obviously, I can't show it. His arms were like
hands down.
It was literally a finish him on Mortal Kombat. Like, the punch was there to end his. Yeah.
Oh, and Usyk was over him, was on top of him. Usyk would have thrown that last leg.
Did you guys see that still that they with the left cock basically?
Yeah, it was ready to end the fight. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, if the referee didn't jump in, the referee done really bad in that round for me. Although we'll get to it. If the referee didn't jump in, Usyk stops Fury there. I'm 100% sure about it. It was so hurt, and that last left would have landed sweet because Fury was completely vulnerable, and there was nothing coming back.
Yeah,
like he was getting punched up for a good 30-40 seconds with nothing going back. But anyway, the ref jumped in, standing 8, which gave Fury about another 10 or 12. That was the longest count, by the way. Do you know that? He had time to recover, and then the fight started, and then it was done. The round was done after like 5 seconds. So the ref saved Fury's life. I don't want anyone else to say anything else. You can. One thing I will say is, because I thought when the ref jumped in, I thought he was stopping, waving the fight off. So I was gonna be like, no, don't wave the fight off like that. Like, although you would have been within your rights to do it, but it's such a big fight that you don't wave it off. But when it was a standing 10-8, I was like, but cool. We've got the 10-8, and then round 10, Usyk round. Although Usyk was tired because obviously he tried to stop my man in the 9th round, he was tired, but Fury was hurt. Fury was still hurt in the 10th round. And it was an Usyk round. Usyk won the 11th round. I gave Fury the 12th. That's so awesome. in my card, it was 7-5 plus the knockdown. So I scored it 115, 111, or 115, 112 essentially. So it was 115, 112. So it was 7-5 and a 10-8 round. I can see 8-4. I haven't watched the fight back.
I got 8-4. The second time, first time I watched was 7-5. Second time was 8-4.
I'm exact same as Sate.
Yeah.
First time I had it 7-5, and then second time around 8-4.
Yeah, I can completely see that. Like, Usyk has shown levels, bro. This guy is a generational fighter. The way the Fury fans, the boxing establishment disrespected him, acting like this guy can't take shots or he don't like it to the body. Or yeah, he's a good fighter, but him and Fury have the exact same IQ. No, they don't. No, they don't. And I was saying, like, that style that him and Lomachenko have patented, yeah. If the Ukrainian boxers base their life, like, they should just get a generation of guys to learn how to fight like that.
Like that.
The great thing about that style is not only are you elite, like as an outboxer on the outside, finding angles, you put so much mental pressure and so much physical pressure on your opponent, they wilt. Tyson Fury wilted.
What did I say? What did I say?
You did. Tyson Fury wilted. Essentially, he wilted because in those middle rounds, he looked great, but he was exerting himself. Like I was saying, although he made great adjustments, he was using so much energy to do what it was doing to Usyk, and Usyk will take them shots, but will still come back. I'm right. I'm here. I'm still here. I'm making you throw shots. I'm making you move. I'm making you do things that you don't want to do. And I know I've got the cardio in the later rounds to stick it on you. And that's essentially what happened. But listen, I have to give credit to Tyson Fury. He made this fight, man. Like I said, he came back in the middle rounds. And this is a great advert for the sport. The gypsy fraud. I'm not gonna call him a fraud anymore. He finally gave me the fight he won, but he lost. He's not the greatest heavyweight of all time. Cut that shit out. He's not the greatest of this generation. Cut that shit out. He is a top 3 heavyweight of this generation, top 3 fighter of this generation or of heavyweights. He's a great fighter. He's got a lot of great wins, but there are levels. When we're talking about the greatest of all time, you have stuff to do. Tyson Fury would have lost before today if he fought all the contenders, by the way. The guy has been dropped 7 times. This is why I don't understand when people analyze Fury. Yes, he's got a lot of gifts. Can fight southpaw, quick jab, quick hands, can throw any shot. I underestimated his body punching ability, and he showed me today, yeah, Samson was right. He can throw to the body. He's elite at throwing them shots and catching you to the body.
There was loads of variety as well, the way he was doing.
Yeah, loads of variety through
hooks and everything.
Mind you, I don't think he's ever shown us the ability to throw body punches like that.
No. I've not seen that.
That him and his coach that have trained rigorously.
But like Samson said, we should expect that of a cerebral fighter like Fury. He's very good. So I don't want anyone to like downplay Fury. And which is why I also don't want anyone to downplay Usyk's win. This is not a shot Fury. This isn't a Fury. I'm hearing Malignaggi talking about Wilder's taking that off. No, he hasn't.
That's the best Fury I've seen in a minute, boy.
That's the best Fury I've seen since Wilder 2. 120%. Yeah. That is his best since Wilder 2. So
I agree.
Fury was at his best, Usyk was at his best, and the better man won. So congratulations to Alexander Usyk again. And yeah, I'm happy, man. So
yeah, and that's the Jide show, everyone. Anyway, but perfectly summed up. I mean, there are loads of takes to go into there. Like I said, with this fight, there's so many agendas. But let's say the last time we had you on, we were doing the big heavyweight debate, and we were talking about stuff like Fury taking on guys like AJ and Usyk, for example, and the whole time Fury's been calling Usyk the rabbit. Well, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun now, is it? So how was it last night seeing that kind of unfold and that heavyweight classic take place for you?
I felt vindicated, and not vindicated because I was high on Usyk. To be fair, over the week I was flip-flopping quite a bit because I was trying to figure out how this fight would play out, and it's quite difficult for me to read. But I feel vindicated because everyone will lose. Right, this idea that we've got superheroes and these unbeatables, and it's heavyweight boxing, and what we should have got here sooner, not undisputed, because undisputed takes time, but we should have got a gut check from all different angles of all fighters by this point, right? And I think Fury's done a great job of shafting the public and shafting boxing really, and not giving everyone the fights that we want to see, so that we can see, the level that he's really at against all different types of fighters. So I think yesterday was I felt vindicated because I always knew this guy would lose. He looked beatable to me. I didn't understand how he looked unbeatable, which was always confusing me. But in terms of the occasion itself, it lived up, man. It lived up. Like I think Dapo and Jido were with me last night, and the electricity in the room from the walk-in, from the Usyk's costume and the outfit, and the stare down, and as soon as it kicked off, I think we saw the best of both men. And I think Jide put it sort of summed it up well, where he said the best of both turned up and the best man won, and that was it. I think we saw everything. One thing that when I watched it back this morning, that I think we sort of touched on it, but Fury's adjustments actually in those middle rounds was actually phenomenal, because what he was getting, essentially Usyk's a madman, because you imagine fighting someone where you have to think for every single second of every round is a madness. And when I was watching it, I was like, Fury's never been here before, because I think me and Samps were talking about it yesterday. I spent the week watching a bunch of Fury fights, a bunch of Usyk fights, and I'd never seen Fury have to think for every second of every round ever in his whole career. And the fact that Usyk managed to do that, I was watching it today, even the rounds where Fury was winning, Fury was still wary, he was still shattered mentally, he was still Usyk was fainting whilst he was losing the rounds, like Fury was so like on guard. And it goes back to that Ukrainian Loma / Usyk style, where it's just making your opponent think, even if you're not winning, or if you're not having a productive quote unquote round. Yeah. So I think what Usyk put on display, if there's anyone that I look at and say, oh boy, how do you beat this guy? It was never Fury, but it was definitely Usyk. And I do wonder who's the person, like how. Obviously now we know Usyk's on a slide, age and so on, but I think that style, and I've got to eat a bit of I don't know what you call when you got a sort of, I've got egg on my face, because when humble pie. Yeah, I've got to eat a bit of humble pie, because I was one of the people at Cruiserweight. I always said, I think this guy will give AJ and a few fighters problems, but I always said I don't know if his style will translate up at heavyweight. I thought some guys will just punch him in. And I've been humbled. I know it's only 6. How many fights is it now at heavyweight? 6 fights? 6, 7 fights?
Yeah, so you had Witherspoon, Chisora, 2 AJ, Dubois, and now Fury.
Yeah, so six fights. So maybe you can argue that's not enough. But from what I've seen, and in that 6 fights is a bunch of different styles. No one's been able to. These guys who are 30-pound heavier than him, no one's been able to.
He hasn't even gone down once, boy.
It's crazy.
I think. Sorry, continue.
No, go.
No, I was going to say, I think in regards to styles, it just shows his amateur pedigree has really shown through, where these guys are having 300 plus fights and they're fighting every style you could think of. And for him to bring that experience, he's fought every single style possible, I think, so far in the heavyweight division. And he's been able to progress and beat all of them. I just think it's phenomenal what he's done now.
I feel like that's why he says, I don't know who asked him, but someone asked him, like, what's your biggest achievement? And he always says Olympic gold. Always says Olympic gold. And that kind of tells me how he feels about his amateur pedigree.
Guys, I've got to shoot anyway.
It's good having you on, bro.
Yeah, good to have you on, sir.
All right, love you.
Cool. Take care, man.
Yeah, no, with the amateurs, it's always, people always say winning Olympics is probably harder than winning a world title sometimes, because when you go to the Olympics, remember, you only have 3 rounds, 3 minutes for each round, and they're so high paced, and they're literally, it's not about knockouts or anything. It's about hit and not get hit, and trying to touch your opponent and not get in touch. So you're not really fighting in that sense. So sometimes it is harder to win an Olympic medal than it is World Championship, because you can get a chance at a World Championship. Olympic medal always comes only every 4 years, so there's that as well. So
and you have to beat everyone in front of you as well, where with a world title it can be very easy to make the right fights to get you there. So
yeah, exactly. Adam, last night was your World Cup final. It's like, for you, it's like almost seeing your country win the World Cup. What was it? What was that, kind of feeling like, seeing the fight happen, the whole event of it, and then that fight turning out the way it did?
Honestly, I was speechless throughout. I always think that me watching it from my perspective, it's not going to translate to everyone else's perspective. But from my eyes, that was one of the greatest heavyweight fights I've seen. When you take in the occasion, the pedigree of the two fighters, the way their careers have panned out, it was everything that fight needed. That's how you have an undisputed fight. And even the ring walks, like everything was just perfect for me, man. I was struggling to really breathe throughout most of the night, but on second watch, being able to watch it with a normal heart rate, I did think that the fight was more comfortable than I first initially thought. Usyk come out the first 2 rounds, and even though he's always liked mixing it up, going upstairs and downstairs, I've never seen Usyk focus on the body so heavily. He was really going for Fury's body, and it was a story of compound interest where the guy isn't looking to hurt him with every shot, but he's trying to build up on every shot and make every shot have a lasting impact throughout the whole fight. Went twice to the body. The 2 rounds, kept going down to the body, mixed it up here and there up top. And on second watch, it was actually 3-0 Usyk. Of course, credit to Tyson Fury, because I've been very critical of him, but last night he showed that you need 2 to tango, and he was game. He made the right adjustments. He was landing some great body shots. The right uppercut was landing at will at times, and he really gave Usyk problems then. But what we seen unfold really is all of the work that Usyk was doing, even while losing those rounds, were still catching up onto Tyson Fury. Even while losing, he was making Fury work harder than he was. He was constantly applying pressure and going down to the body when he can. And I feel like that just caught up to Fury sooner or later. And we saw, I think it was the 7th or 8th round, Usyk start to get that second wind of his, where historically we've seen him take a few rounds off in the middle stages of the fight, and he always tends to come back strong. And we've seen that unfold yesterday again. Started to gain some good momentum in round 7 and 8. Obviously, round 9 deserves... You could almost have your own episode of the podcast just on that round 9 and what happened. Phenomenal round, and just kept going on strong, and there on out. Second watch, I thought it was a lot more comfortable than I initially thought. And bit harsh, but I do think Usyk, we saw a Usyk that is way past his prime last night. When you look at the volume of punches he thrown yesterday compared to what he threw against AJ in the first fight, he threw 400 punches yesterday, whereas he thrown over 700 against AJ. I know, taking into consideration different fighter, different styles, but that is still a huge drop-off. And I've never seen Usyk so tired as I have in round 3 yesterday. That was really worrying to see him so tired. He was breathing very heavily. And I think that's why Fury was able to make those adjustments as well, where Usyk started becoming a lot more... what's the word? He was a lot more predictable in his shots, and you could see his shots coming a lot more earlier than previously because of how tired he was. But
he started getting lazy, basically.
Yeah. It's like when you're tired and you're throwing shots, they become so much more predictable when you're that fatigued. But great powers of recovery, and just really happy he managed to get it over and done with, because that was a win for boxing as a whole. It shows you why boxing isn't just fighting. It's a sport. It's the sweet science where you've had the guy come up physically much more smaller than the bigger guy, but just through skills alone and great technical ability, he's been able to go through this heavyweight division and do what he's done in becoming undisputed in 2 weight classes, where he's had to fight people 40 pounds heavier than him. It's just phenomenal. And hats off to him. He's really made a great account for the sport of boxing as an art, because the whole boxing industry was against him last night. We all know they wanted to make Fury AJ. It made sense from a business point of view, but he put a stop to that show, and really proud of him as a fighter that I followed for so long.
Yeah, and like you said, boxing won, and Adil commented that as well. Fury lost and boxing won. So a couple people, also agree with you with the fact that boxing won last night. Chris, Fury at times was getting cooked by Usyk like he was chicken Kiev or like he was borscht. He was getting cooked by the Ukrainian chef. What was it like witnessing that heavyweight bout between the two and the back and forth that we got between them and how high level, because it was a really high level fight between the two of
them? Yeah, great fight. I think that's the main thing to say. We often aren't getting the best fights in boxing. We're not getting the best two fighters and divisions coming together to try and unify titles, become undisputed. It just seems to have been over the past couple of years, money, politics, pride, ego, protecting the O, trying to copy the Floyd Mayweather blueprint. But it's good to see that Turkey's come in, brought his finances in, kind of salvage what's left of boxing generally. And yeah, great performance from both guys. Obviously, I picked Usyk to win. I said it would be a late stoppage or a decision. I did think that they'd try and rob him. Obviously, we know what the biggest fight in boxing is financially. So I thought they'd try and rob him, but ultimately, Usyk proved he is who he says he is. Do you know what I mean? He's pound for pound, in my opinion. Fight starts straight away. Usyk is landing the better shots. He seems to be imposing himself quite well. He's got Fury on the back foot. I remember there was a lot of discussion about how heavy Fury was going to come in, how much size he was looking to sacrifice. He came in obviously 260, 262. I did feel like at some point he'd try and walk down Usyk. He'd try and impose his size and his strength. And it didn't happen. It didn't really happen. He was on the back foot the entire fight. But it worked. It worked dividends. I think it was from about, I say round 4, where Fury was really getting the body shots off, landing well. You could hear the shots landing. You could see Usyk exhaling. Like the shots were landing, and he was doing well, and he wasn't getting hit. I think there was a shot he hit him with. It was like a 2-hit combo. I think he's caught him with a right hand, stepped back, and Usyk has just flung like a wild right hand, and that kind of thing just does a number on the judges. So we're, I think rounds 4, I think it must have been 4, 5, 6. Oscar, who some of you may know we had a bet with, he sent his account details to send the money. We were ended, man. We were ended. I was thinking, yeah, this is only going one way, because the way it looked like Usyk started the fight well and Fury had adjusted. He looked comfortable. I was scared he was going to get tired, but as Adam said, it looked like Usyk was getting tired, which we kind of now know it probably wasn't the case. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he was tired. Maybe he was trying to figure things out, but I don't think he was tired per se, because he wouldn't have been able to perform how he did in the later rounds if he was. But yeah, I thought the tide of the fight had changed so much that it wouldn't be able to, Usyk wouldn't be able to recover it. Whether it's because it'd be too little too late, whether it's because Fury had already done and established so much in the eyes of the judges, I just thought it just wasn't going to happen. But obviously Usyk is showing how he was able to deal with Joshua twice, how he was able to step up to heavyweight, how he was able to become a cruiserweight champion. And it's just his technical ability, his ability to outthink his opponent, his ability to, stay in there with big punches. People were saying, he had Samson here, he had Oscar here saying he didn't have dog. Like, I'm sorry, if you're taking those clean shots from a big guy like Fury, and you're able to still walk towards him, I don't care what anyone says, man. You've got dog. You've got a big heart, because one of those shots, Dylan White is thrown in the towel himself. I'm sorry. But yeah, I liked Adam touched on the fact that it looked like he'd regressed. I feel like it's more of an indictment of Fury and how good Fury was on the night. He wasn't able to, just step in, throw in loads of punches and bunches. Fury does move his head. Even though he's slower than Usyk is, he's not a slow heavyweight by any means. Generally, he moves well. His feet weren't the worst. Probably the best feet he's fought at heavyweight for sure. And Usyk was struggling. He couldn't afford to just be throwing loads of shots. He missed a lot of shots, especially early in the fight, and that tires you out, especially when you're reaching, and then you're getting caught with short hooks to the head, to the jaw, to the body. But obviously, as time went on, Usyk was figuring it out. He was, changing his angles. He was throwing that left hand, throwing it hard, throwing that shot to the body, breaking him down. I can't remember what pundit it was, but before the fight, it was like nobody's really tested Fury to his body. And people who are watching it on the surface level, they're not going to understand how much of an impact those body shots from Usyk early on actually had. It would have slowed him down. I could see at one point Fury's feet were just lackadaisical. He wasn't able to traverse the ring very well. And then we got round 9, man. So in my opinion, I feel like Usyk would have probably knocked him out. Given that if the ref hadn't intervened, if the ref hadn't called a standing count, I think he was about a shot or two away from being sparked out completely. He was out of it as it was. You could see it in his face, you could see it in his eyes. He was conscious, but only a few more shots. And Usyk was smart, because when he got on the ropes, you could see Fury trying to get up and trying to gather himself up. He waited for him, and he was going to line him up, and that would have been that. I don't know why the ref has stepped in and not stepped in before and let him bounce around the ring. But yeah, man, ultimately we got to the end of the fight. As you lot have said, and even just thinking back in hindsight, I've not had a complete look at the fight. It was quite a convincing win for me. It should have been a unanimous decision for sure. It probably was like a 8-4 with a knockdown. Ultimately, I'm happy for Usyk. It's good to see the little guy in the division can come in, disrupt the establishment, use his hard work and grit to beat all the big names. I don't know what happens with AJ Fury now. I don't know if Fury is really going to take the rematch. But in my opinion, I feel like Usyk has learned so much from those 12 rounds that he's had with Fury that he probably wins again, and probably more convincingly. So do I want to see it? Yeah, but do I think there's going to be a different ending to the fight? Not really. Not really. So
yeah, Dapper. AJ was there ringside. He was there waiting for what you know what they say, turning up to your hater's funeral. For sure he's dead. What's it like being on the other side now, but now seeing Fury kind of go through that, take on Usyk as well? Because obviously there was that kind of thing where they were diminishing Usyk beforehand, that AJ wasn't this and AJ was that for losing to Usyk. But now that this has kind of transpired, what's your whole thoughts on it?
It's so interesting, because I feel like, first of all, what a great fight, right? What a great fight. Watching that when it happened was incredible. Both guys, I think fought the best they could. There wasn't anything really that I feel like Fury didn't try and do to win that fight, if that makes sense. Like, everything that everyone's spoken about Fury trying to do to win, he did it. He tried to use his height, his reach, he tried to go to the body. He tried it all. So hats off to Fury, man. But to go back to what you asked me, Naeem, it's crazy because to me, out of all the heavyweights, Tyson Fury, if anybody was going to beat Usyk, it should have been him for me because of his height, his reach, his boxing ability, and his IQ. Right? You know how they always say a good big guy beats an elite small guy. So it was just crazy to me that, after all the talking, after all the disrespect, Usyk's one of the most disrespected fighters like ever. And before the AJ1 fight, I wasn't super convinced that he could do big things in the division. But after that first AJ1 fight, I was convinced. I had no more doubts in my head that this guy was a proper problem. And I feel like Tyson Fury should have paid him that respect from the get-go. And he should have left all these comments about him being a middleweight and being foreign and stuff. It just makes your loss look even worse, to me anyways. Now let's talk about the fight itself. For me, watching this fight was so interesting because when you've got Samson in your ear, yeah, you actually can't watch this fight properly. It was mad. I watched it again today. Now, Samson skewed my perception of that fight so much because when I watched it again, all the shots that Fury was landing at, we were going, ooh, ooh, ooh. They were landing on his gloves, and they weren't even that bad. Like, he was actually taking these punches so well. And because of these punches, yeah, I was giving Fury these rounds. When I watch it back and I see, like, who's actually more effective what they're doing, yeah, like, Samson, if you're watching, you ruin that fight for me, bro. You actually ruin
I can imagine Samson's in your ear like this. Like, when the body shot lands, he's like doing this, like
Samson was like, I told you, man, I told you. The body shot. I told you. I'm watching it back now. I'm thinking,
now, quick one, Dafo, yeah. Now, to corroborate what you're saying, yeah, Samson. So when Fury would land to the body, Samson would be like, ooh, like he'll do that, and then when Usyk lands to the body, something like
quietness.
Like, yeah, nice.
Hey, Samson's nasty, you know.
That was mad, yeah.
Bro.
If Usyk was African American, I reckon Samson put him top 3 of all time.
Nah, if he was PBC.
If he was
really
number one.
Samson love him.
Yeah.
Samson love him. But anyways, yeah, like watching the fight again, I've watched the first half of the fight, I need to watch the second half, but I thought the first half was a lot more closer than it actually was. I still give a majority of the first half to Usyk, and the rounds he was losing, like, don't get me wrong, there were certain times where it looked like what Fury was doing was getting to Usyk. There were some runs that me and Julie were quiet, boy. We were just watching like, oh, this is looking a bit sticky because Fury was landing some really, really eye-catching shots. But in the grand scheme of things, I can actually see what Usyk was doing now. I can see what he was doing. And he was doing what he normally does. Like, I know people make fun of Lomachenko and Usyk for this, like, collecting data and stuff, but he was collecting data because the things he was doing in the later half of the fight wasn't the same thing he was in at the first half. He actually figured Tyson Fury out. And the punch that hurt Fury in the ninth round was a collection of rounds, right? I saw someone break it down on YouTube, yeah, and I'll send you guys the link in the group chat. He broke it down perfectly. Like, he said Usyk was feinting one of his hands. I can't remember. I think it was his right hand. He was feinting his right hand, and he was looking at what Fury was how Fury was reacting, and he clocked that when he feinted that right hand, yeah, Fury wasn't doing anything. So he was like, okay, cool. Anytime I move this hand, you don't do anything. I'm gonna catch you with this right hand, overhand right. And it's a punch that Usyk never throws, which is crazy. So that just shows me, I just feel like there's a bit of a gap between Usyk and the rest of these guys, man. For me personally, I think there's a gap. And what should have closed that gap is the size of them and the power. And unfortunately, he's just so good. He's actually nullifying that now. And it's crazy because he's tough. I think if he was a bit weaker, I think that some of these heavyweights would do a bit better than him. I mean, would do a bit better versus him. But he's a strong guy. Like, Fury's punch selection in this fight was more than I've seen in a long time. He was landing uppercuts, hooks, straights. Not a lot of fights that Fury fights, he can win fights with just his right hand and a jab. Like, he's beat good guys with like just 2 punches. In this fight, he threw everything, and Usyk took it all. So yeah, I'm very, very impressed, man. And I feel like Usyk had a bigger mountain to climb to win this fight, and he still climbed it. Do you understand? You're in there with a guy that has almost 40 pounds over you. He's got like almost 5 inches of height on top of you. Like it's just crazy. Hats off to Usyk, man. And before the fight, I wasn't super convinced that the height difference was that big. But seeing them both in the ring, the difference was clear. Fury was the taller man. The difference was clear. And seeing Usyk trying to throw his hands upwards, I can see like, this guy Usyk is elite, man. He's elite. And rewatching the fight as well without Samson's voice in my ear, it changed the perspective of the fight for me. I thought it was a lot closer. And at the end, I was like, "Ooh, is Fury gonna get the win?" But now I'm watching it back. It should have been a UD, boy. It should have been a UD. And to Oscar and to Sams, listen, let's start looking at these fights objectively. Let's leave the standing at home. Let's look at the variables. Let's look at the previous fights. You understand? And I just feel like rematch as well. I think it's another Usyk win. I see a lot of people say that Fury can win, and he can win. But I just feel like this guy he's got too many gears, man. He's got too many gears. You start thinking you're doing something well, and then he changes it up. How do you beat a guy like that? You train for months to fight him one way, and that way doesn't work out. So you need to beat a guy? You need a plan A, B, C, and D. How many fighters in heavyweight division have that?
Yeah,
So
I think that's why yesterday's fight was so good, because the majority of heavyweights know how to fight one way and one way only. Yesterday we had 2 fighters who were able to fight on the front foot. They were able to fight on the back foot. They were able to adjust. And it was a fight where we physically saw in front of us these guys stepping through the gears. Like, you could see the gear changes in these fighters. But I think it was just ultimately a case of Usyk having the more gears and being able to adjust further. And I think the way the rematch, if it happens, starts off more as like a round 14 more than anything else. And I can see Usyk having more gears to go through as opposed to Fury, and I see the same the same result again.
Usyk has gone through it now because he's never fought anyone as big as Fury, right? So that was still an unknown variable for him. He's never fought anyone as that tall. Fury's taller than AJ and he's bigger than AJ. So that unknown variable is gone now. He's used to it. He's done 12 rounds with him now. So I don't expect the second fight to look. It might not look as good, but I still think it's a Usyk win. One more thing for me as well before I pass it on to Naeem, back to Naeem. The ninth round where Fury almost went down. I don't know what I think that the moment got to the ref because I don't know what he was really doing because Fury the ropes held up Fury like a bunch of times. I think like 3 times.
I counted 4 times. So
4
there
times.
were 4
That's
times
crazy.
that it could have been a standing count.
That is so crazy. If you're gonna do that standing count thing, as soon as he touches the ropes and you see that the ropes is holding him up, count. If not, just let the fight go. Just let it go. Let Usyk let Fury's gloves touch the floor and then count. Don't like if you're gonna count, just stop. Just wave the fight off. If you feel like the guy's not throwing back, I can't tell the ref how to do his job, but the guy's not throwing back. The ropes have held him up like 4 times. What's the point of counting there? Just wave the fight off, in my opinion. Anyway, obviously, if Fury recovered, he came back, whatever. That's fine. But if you're not, my point is, if you're not gonna count for those other 3 times he touched the ropes, just leave it at this point. That's why when the ref pulled Usyk back, he was very confused. He was back because he's like, listen, like, why are you counting now? I was confused as well. Like, why? What's the point of counting? It's either you wave it off or you wait for Fury to go down and then you count. But obviously, I'm not a referee, so I can't tell him how to do his job. But to me, like, I've seen fights stop for much less. Title fights. I know it's undisputed or whatever, but it didn't make sense to me. I've seen fights stop for much less. And if you're not gonna stop the fight, if you're gonna count whatever, count the other 3 times that he was touching the ropes. Didn't make any sense, man.
So with that actual thing to add on to what you were saying, what my issue is, I got no issues with the referee allowing the fight to carry on for so long. I think it was a contradiction for him to start the count after he hit the rope like 4 times. But I think we could bet our houses on the fact if that was the other way round.
He's waving it off, boy.
In that position, we would see the fight waved off. And that's what my problem is with that situation. And the fact that what Usyk done brilliantly, it just shows you how intelligent he is as a fighter. Other heavyweights in that particular position would have probably smothered their work and not been able to actually get off the punches that he was getting off. He was stepping back and recalculating and assessing and then throwing punches. And he was so accurate in those flurries. Like I thought it was phenomenal.
I completely agree.
And just when he had him set up for the last punch or so, where Fury was completely out of it and he had the stoppage win in front of him, the referee decides to blow. And like I said, he could have stopped on 4 different occasions where Fury was held up by the ropes. And then even with the count, it was an extremely slow count. And even after the count, he gave Fury a lot of time and kept telling Usyk to go back to his corner until the bell for that particular round went. So
I think that's one more thing I want to put on Usyk's jacket. He's so clinical in terms of finishing as well. It reminded me of what he did to Bellew. That 9th round reminded me of what he did to Bellew, because I remember when he fought Bellew and how he finished Bellew was very, very similar. He didn't smother
Yeah.
enough space to look at what he was doing. Fury's hands would I've seen so many fighters in that same position that Usyk was in that will smother their work, will just throw and hope something lands to finish the fight. He didn't do that. And every single shot was landing. Everything is crazy.
I think Usyk's a very accurate puncher. That's it. Accurate puncher. And this is what I'm telling guys. Remember my breakdown in the pre-fight, I'm like, Fury gets hit. Fury will give you a chance to land a big one on him, no matter who you are.
Everyone hits him.
Everyone gets at him. So all these guys saying, AJ could never beat Fury. AJ could never hurt Fury. I'm telling you.
Right.
Although we'll
go to that, boy.
Although we're saying Usyk is a accurate, I agree with Dapper, is a very accurate puncher, but he's not a finisher. Like Usyk, if Usyk gets you, he can put you out, especially at cruiserweight, because those are the guys his size. But he doesn't have the power of some of these guys at heavyweight. If that was Anthony Joshua knocking Fury's head across the ring
Forget it.
He would have been done for. Yeah,
that first left hand would have had him on a coma.
Yeah, he's stopping him.
Yeah. It would have been in Ngannou-esque, really and truly.
Stopping him.
And the thing is, I've been saying for ages, your chin does not improve with age. It does not improve. All these shots, everyone's getting excited about Fury's ability to recover, his recovery abilities. Listen, you've got the recovery abilities until you find that you get hit with that one shot and you don't recover. It's not. He's almost fortunate to be able to have recovered from a lot of these shots. The Wilder one, the big Wilder one that he's based his whole entire image off of, probably should have been stopped. 9 out of 10 fighters are being stopped in that fight. 100%. Yes, credit him. He got up and he managed to dominate the rest of the round. But 9 out of 10 fighters are getting stopped. The ref is calling the fight there and then. He's not counting anything.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Do we think, I'll be honest, I haven't seen recovery like that in the heavyweight division. Do we think Tyson Fury has the best recovery abilities in heavyweight history?
It's very good, boy. I can't think
I think so.
It's very good.
I think so. Like, if there's one thing I have to do,
best recovery in heavyweight history.
Huh?
Best recovery in heavyweight history.
Mate, give me
in history.
That's what I'm saying. In history.
I'd have to look. I don't think so personally, but
yeah,
I'd have to look.
You know the issue is. It's the way he goes down. So there's a lot of fighters. There's a lot of fighters who get rocked, and they're just really, really good at weathering the storm. Not heavyweight division, but if you look at guys like Mayweather, for example, anytime he's been rocked, he's managed to really, really kind of compose himself to a state where he can actually survive the round or not hit the canvas, even though he's been rocked badly. There's a lot of fighters who who do it in the heavyweight division. It's hard to say.
It's hard because when you're getting hit by guys that big, it's completely different.
But
So,
it's weird. It's almost like a backhanded compliment because he shouldn't be going down that frequently anyway for us to think that he's got the best recovery.
He's chinny, boy.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he is chinny. Do you know what I mean? He does go down significantly easier than a lot of heavyweights.
Potentially.
You know what I mean?
I think it's a case of him actually leaving his face exposed quite a lot.
And that's just
chinny. You see the word chinny in heavyweight boxing. Sometimes I feel like it's a bit harsh because these are big guys, and it's like when you get hit in heavyweight boxing, everyone has the capabilities of dropping. You know what I mean? It's like the same. They labeled AJ as chinny when really he's.
I hear you.
You know what the issue is? You know what the issue is, Adam? Yeah, the issue is he's been dropped by what? 3 cruiserweights.
Yeah,
that's
3 cruiserweights. You could almost say that Wilder's a 4th. He's not like he's a heavy. He's a heavy guy.
Yeah,
weighs 210, 215. Like, listen, I hear you, but Fury doesn't have a great chin, bro.
And it's the manner and the way in which he goes down. If
Chateau's got a great chin,
he's got a great chin.
Ridiculous. He ate some big shots from.
That is a chin.
Yeah.
Don't have a chin, bro.
I've seen him eat.
Go on.
No, I've seen him eat shots from all the top heavyweights.
Bro, Usyk has fought AJ, Dubois, and Fury back to back once.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's the consensus of him having a soft body is so lazy to me.
Overstated, man. It's overstated.
Anyone that gets hit with a good body shot is going to be hurt.
Anyone can go down.
Clutching onto it because they haven't seen him look hurt in any other times.
And I've also
we saw Sanchez go down yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
A jab, a body jab, you know.
Yeah,
from a jab. Yeah, and it ended the fight. He ended the fight.
A lot of people do punch him very low, like when they fight him. I've deeped it.
100%.
Yeah. That perception of him having a weak body, it makes it a target. So if you always want to punch it, you're like 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna punch the person low. Just the nature of body shot sometimes.
Fury threw it low sometimes, and I think
very low. Yeah.
Purpose. The game's the game. Like I said,
it's so funny because Fury's shots were mad high.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But it's showmanship. It's a game. It's the game, isn't it? Sometimes it may go low, but sometimes it may not go low. But him pointing it out, the whole point is to get the ref to be like, all right, cool, let me watch that now, and it'll start making you think. It's all the game. Like we saw in the Kakache fight, man threw a left and a right and a break, and he did it twice. And the ref allowed it. You do what you can get away with. It's a fight. We always talk about it as boxing, sweet science, but bro, it's like if a man is trying to punch your lights out, you're gonna do whatever you can. If you can bite him, you bite him. I'll bite you if I can. Like I'm trying to win. I'm trying to win. It's a fight. I'll do if I can get away with 1 or 2 dirty tactics, I will. And if I can trick the ref to making you think every time you throw to my body it's low, I will. I don't think that's where the indictment of people saying, oh, you don't like it to the body or he don't have dog because he complains. I don't see it that way. I see it as
he kind of has to. I can't lie. Or Fury just keep doing it.
I'm like, okay. I'll see it as this thing might hurt me or it's working on me. Let me take it away from you. Let me make the ref make it a thing now. When you do it, you have to think twice because the ref's warned you already. So now you're thinking, oh, if I throw to your body again, I'm pissed. That's the game. That's how I see it. But yeah, man, listen. Usyk's got a great chin, great cardio, and extremely accurate. He's the division is just very lucky. He's 37. If I'm him, I retire because
he needs to retire.
I think he has the rematch in him because
it's not about having a rematch in him. He can beat Fury again. And if they got a rematch, Fury, if I was him, what he would likely do is he won't fight on the back foot. Fury will probably try to force the fight this time, which will probably work towards Usyk's hand.
Favor.
We may get a stoppage early. So a rematch, I still see it Usyk. But what I mean is the guys coming up. You are not going to reign unbeaten at 38, 39, 40. You're going to lose.
Yeah,
will,
I'll rematch and retire, man.
bro. Usyk will lose if he stays. Like he has, like we say, yeah. Fury like dealt with him well, so his output was a bit lower, but he was tired, bro. His output has gone down a bit. I was seeing more sloppy work from Usyk than I've ever seen before. Again, yes, Fury did a lot of that as well, but the guy is 37 years old. Your lung capacity doesn't improve with age. You're gonna slow down. Look at Loma. It hurts more when you're in a lighter weight. Loma, if Loma was in a heavyweight, it would probably be the equivalent of a 40-year-old. Although he's like, I don't know, he's 36 as a lightweight. That's old. These guys' style doesn't age well, which is why if I'm Usyk, I do the rematch and I call it quits.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, listen, number one pound for pound, he's the greatest of his generation. He's not the greatest heavyweight or one of the great heavyweights because he's only had 6 fights. However, you can put him in any era against any man and he will give a great account of himself. People forget Usyk is 6'3", 220. He's the same size as George Foreman. And George Foreman was seen as a big heavyweight back in the day. They're the same size. And who do you think is going to win that fight? I'm giving Usyk beats him. Usyk beats him. George Foreman, great body puncher, but his fundamentals are very flat feet, although he's got a lot of power. But that is like food for someone like Usyk, who's got great feet, fast hands, a lot of cardio, and underrated power. This is why I keep like people saying, no, he ain't got power. Yeah, he's not a 6'6", 6'7" guy that can send your head to fucking Millwall. He's 6'3". However, if he lands, look at Bellews, he's sparking you out. Look at
Sparkle.
look at AJ1. AJ1 could have been a stoppage, really. If although you say no, I don't want to stop guys, blah blah blah. Give that round 15, 20 more seconds. He probably stops AJ in the last round in that fight.
Yeah.
Like he stopped.
Do you know what's interesting today?
Power, bro. He's just not a AJ kind of power, but he's got respectable power. Like people need to stop that. So yeah, man, any era Usyk cooks, bro. I can't lie to you.
Yeah, you know the thing about Usyk almost stopping AJ. I feel like it's a very, very different kind of stoppage. I don't think AJ would have been concussed.
No.
It would have been a mixture of exhaustion and just not seeing the shots coming.
Yeah.
Whereas with Fury would have been concussed. His equilibrium was completely gone. His body, his legs weren't doing what he wanted.
His face told me everything, boy.
His eyes, everything. He was trying everything. He wasn't even really that smart about trying to survive because he really should have just taken a knee. He really should have just taken a knee after a certain point because he was done. He was ended. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I kind of want to go on Usyk's power. So I said previously on the pod before this, I actually rate Usyk's power more than Fury's. I think he has deceptive power. It's more than enough to hurt any heavyweight, I believe. The only thing the reason why people overlook it and think he's not a big puncher is because he never sits down on his punches. The way he fights, he's always fleet-footed, and it's that amateur style where he's throwing punches in bunches and he's looking to score and so forth. Yesterday is the first time we actually seen Usyk kind of plant his feet into the ground. The reason why I said I felt like he aged, I don't think his foot speed was as fast as it used to be. It seems like it's slow. And he was kind of planting his feet. He wasn't as fleet-footed. But in saying that, he was able to put some meat behind the punches. And I think that's purely why we've seen Fury hurt more than any other fight in his career so far. So I do think he has deceptive power.
Yeah, and it also comes down to the accuracy. If you look at the accuracy numbers between the two, Usyk's really accurate with his punches, even though he didn't keep his work rate as high because he made Fury work a bit more with his flicker jab, and he obviously had to work hard to get past that jab. But one thing that kind of annoyed me about watching that fight was the reason why a lot of people think it's close is because if you watched all three broadcasters from the UK and their coverage on it, the commentary was very pro Fury, where whenever Fury landed the punch to the gloves, like Samson would, do as well in Dapo's ear. That whenever they landed a jab to the gloves, whenever he had a couple work, they were talking about that and they're saying, "Oh, Fury's got control back," and they were saying this and that, giving Fury applause for more applause than he deserved in certain parts. And then when Usyk was doing certain work, if it wasn't landing clean to the head, they weren't really acknowledging it like that too much. And that's why I think for some people who aren't watching boxing, because when I was watching it, I've got my eyes and I'm watching it clear straight on, so I can see who's landing and who's getting the better of the rounds. I can notice the contradictions in the commentary, but for a casual fan who doesn't have too much, who's not really looking at boxing like that, they're just here to watch the fight, they're probably going to think that Fury's winning this fight because of the way the commentary is. So I thought that was kind of sad, not sad, but it's just kind of crappy to experience that.
Yeah, it's like we said, the boxing establishment wanted Fury to win. Bro, if Fury done the job, we would have had the biggest fight ever, probably. In our shores. Easily the biggest fight in Britain's history. In terms of like world history, I would still see it that way, but obviously there'll be a lot of arguments, but it would have been a massive fight. AJ Fury, like, bro, everyone's making 100 million minimum, each person. So they wanted that so bad.
And then one thing I wanted to get your lot's takes on, because we can do this as a group, and I know you lot is going to have some kind of thought about this, was the post-fight kind of interview as soon as the scorecards are announced. So that obviously Fury, and he's well within his rights. I do understand when fighters are in fights where they're winning rounds, they do think that they probably won the fight. I get that part of it. That's perfectly fine. Because sometimes you do get hit in the head and you're not really registering things properly, because when you're in a fight, it's different than scoring it, because you're not really scoring it, you're trying to win it. But you went on the mic with Ade and he kind of said, but he's basically saying Usyk's country was at war and everyone's siding with the country that's at war now, basically suggesting that insinuating that because of the war in Ukraine, that Usyk got sympathy points and that's the only reason he won the fight and that they gave him the fight. So, it's twice now that Usyk's boxed in Saudi Arabia against a big heavyweight British titan, and they've both had a kind of post-fight breakdown. Adam, what was the thoughts about that comment that he passed?
Yeah, I honestly didn't take too much of it. I just thought it was a tasteless comment, really, and that's about it. Didn't see it for more than what it was. Just a tasteless comment, something that you'd expect from Fury. This is not something that shocked me. And yeah, you just move on, really. So.
Chris, was that worse than AJ's? Well, I'm not Rocky Marciano. I can't punch 18 stone.
So I think the main difference is AJ was clearly having some sort of mental breakdown within himself. It didn't really seem to be directly putting down Usyk. It mostly was just
he was vexed at himself
out loud. Yeah, speaking out loud about his shortcomings, about the kind of things he was confused about. It was a very kind of self-centered monologue. It definitely took attention away from Usyk and took away from his moment. But I don't think you could tell his intention wasn't to do that. Whereas with what Fury said, it came across to me as a lot more malicious. Saying that you feel like you won the fight, that's fine. Fighters are going to feel like that. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. Especially when your corner's kind of backing up what you're saying. I think Sugar Hill was saying one more round till undisputed. Like, I could see why he could be kind of misled into thinking he won the fight. Whatever. The comment about Ukraine, however, I feel like that is malicious, and to me, it just kind of summarizes the kind of person that Fury is. Do you know what I mean? And this is why I've always found him so dislikable, because it might not be this exact situation when it comes to other things, but just the manner in which he puts down other fighters, the way in which he's tried to dismiss other big fights. Do you know what I mean? Just little sneaky, snarky comments with a lot of major consequences. People listen to Fury. People will hear that, and people you will hear it next week. You'll see it on a news column about how much the war in Ukraine affected the decision. It will come up for sure.
You're absolutely right, Chris.
It will come up.
They regurgitate everything he says, boy.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, people still value Fury a lot more than they do Usyk, regardless of him being undisputed. Even if he wins again, just the media likes Tyson Fury. So yeah, for me, it's a horrible thing to say. You're calling into question the integrity of the judges and boxing as a whole by insinuating that the war in Ukraine is the reason why Usyk was given a favorable decision. It's nonsense.
Jide?
Yeah, that was his Bismillah moment. Shout out AJ, man. But
Did you say?
is it not Bismillah? What is it? I don't know, man. Is this what it was on the mic?
He said Bismillah.
yeah.
It was
I thought that was a new type of rice brand, bro.
fam. AJ had a CTE moment, man. But yeah, no. I echo everything Chris said in it, like complete echo that stuff. Like he was being malicious. He did it maliciously. He did it to take away Usyk's win. And like, if you hear what he said when he said Happy New Year, he's hurt. His emotions. We're in May and you're talking about Happy New Year, bro. The guy is just finished. He's hurt. So when you look at that situation, I agree with Chris, and it is being malicious, and people will speak about it and people will bring it up. Simon Jordan, I can imagine. You see the way he does.
Oh man,
wins.
I can't.
100% gonna be like, oh, my scorecard with all my facility, all that bullshit words he likes using. On my disposition and on my scorecard, I see that Ukraine had a hand in it. Fury should have won. I could just imagine that, innit? He shouldn't have said it. He shouldn't have done it. But again, it's pressure. AJ had a mental breakdown because of the pressure he was under. Like you said, he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. Everyone's expecting him to win it. He felt like it was letting everyone down, and he yielded. He broke. And I feel like with Fury, his ego got crushed. It's such a big thing to never lose and then lose. So he just had his own little CTE moment. So while it is malicious and while he's just, for me, like I said, he's dislikable, I don't really care in it. Like, the narratives may be out there, but you lost, bro. I genuinely don't care. The same way as like we could all say, oh, AJ, XYZ. And the thing is, Fury will not get cooked as much as AJ, because the media, everyone loves Fury. I get it.
If AJ ever said that, he's getting cooked.
He's getting cooked. He got cooked for what he said in the last one. So
I'm saying, if he said what Fury said,
oh yeah, he's getting absolutely finished. But yeah, listen, you can blame Ukraine, you can blame God, you can blame the devil. I don't care who you blame, bro. You can blame Putin. You lost fair and square. You got your head clean. You should have been stopped in the ninth. The game's the game. And I'll echo Mad Chad Sports, bro. I did see Berenchik. Like, Ukraine are having an absolute tear through boxing right now. So WBO lightweight champion. Like, I don't know what the next. I need to look at who the next generation of Ukrainians is, because to go from Vladimir the Klitschko's to then Usyk
and Loma and yeah.
a madness. Like, if the next generation is anything like this generation, them man are gonna stay in boxing a long time.
Well, speaking of which, actually, off topic, but my man yesterday, you can't take much from it, but 6'6" at 175, he looks a problem.
Oh, Daniel Lapin.
Ukrainian bias, but he looks a problem. Is it Lapin?
Yeah, Daniel Lapin. Yeah.
He looked good. Can't lie, but
the braids.
Yeah.
Is it the braids? Yeah.
I haven't seen much of him to decide, so I think that's one I'll have a look at in terms of with his next couple of fights. But 6'6" at 175 is always going to be an issue with that. So we did say in the last, I think it was like 2 months ago we had a conversation about what would happen if Usyk.
Bro, you didn't ask me, boy. I skipped me.
Oh, shit. But I know what you're already gonna say.
No, I'm joking. I was gonna say what Chris said.
No. Well, what
No,
were your thoughts on?
I'm literally gonna say what Chris said, so it's calm.
Because you know as well, when you were there, when we were all kind of there in terms of the reaction online to what AJ did, in his Usyk rematch. Do you think the reaction's been the same, or it's kind of been a bit tempered?
It's never going to be the same, man. All I will say is, yeah, Fury's a sore loser. I'm not mad at him saying I feel like he won. I'm not mad. I'll never be mad at that because he fought well. But he's just, when you lose, it's an ego killer, innit? That's all it is, man. But it has nothing to do with the war, man. This is the better fighter. That's all.
Yeah. So we said in the previous one when we were discussing about the who the best fighter of the generation is, and this fight came up in terms of that this could change. Has it changed now? Is Usyk the face of this generation, the face of this era, not just for heavyweights, but for all of boxing? That he is the number one pound for pound.
He is, man.
Yeah, he should be, but he's not gonna be. It's not. He doesn't have the global appeal, unfortunately. When we talk about face of anything, it's more than just your talent. When we talk about other sports, like for example, the NBA, the best player in the NBA is Jokic. He's been the best player for 4 years, but he's not been seen as the face of the league. It's still LeBron. It's still, and LeBron's 100 years old. So it's it's when we look at football, it was Messi and Ronaldo, because not only did they have the talent, but they had the global appeal. And now you really don't really have a face of football like that yet. Obviously, you have the PR coming up with Jude right now. But I'm just saying, the point I'm trying to make is,
I agree.
You need a global appeal to become the face of something. And unfortunately for Usyk, he's probably the most talented, or in the top three. He's right there with the likes of Crawford, Inoue. He's right there with them, but he just doesn't have the appeal to be the face of this generation. But he is the best fighter for me, or top three of this generation. So
Jide trying to call LeBron old is funny. Why are you acting like you weren't classmates with him?
Ha 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 ha. Put him.
But I think also you have to take into the fact that the pound for pound was only made for one reason and one reason only. Obviously, you can't compare, for example, Inoue and Fury in terms of, you can't put them together because obviously that can never happen. But it's that in terms of on skill, who do you think would win if they were able to be in the same weight class on skill? Who wins? And Usyk's proved that he can move up to a guy that's 40 pounds bigger than him and outbox him, almost stop him, and almost punch him through the ropes and win. And I think he's the epitome of pound for pound. But the good thing is those three that you mentioned, Crawford, Usyk, and Inoue, very active. You obviously had Inoue fighting this month. You've had Usyk now. And then in August, we get Terence Bud Crawford moving up to 154 to fight Madrimov. And they keep chasing greatness. And the one thing I did mention last night was appreciate those three as each fight goes along, because they keep chasing greatness. And we're going to look back at each one of them and compare them across not only our era, but other eras. They are the only fighters right now that you could probably compare. And maybe Canelo you could put in there as well. You can compare them across all eras of boxing and see where they fit, because they are, in my opinion, top 50 fighters of all time. You think that's a bit too far, or do you think that's right?
I think it's higher, man.
Higher than top 50 of all time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sorry to cut you guys off. Just a quick one. Yeah, this is what I mean about Fury's PR. Yeah, look at this post from IFL. Right, let me read it to you guys. All right, Tyson Fury ended Klitschko's 18-fight reign at the top of heavyweight division. Battled and beat the pressure to lose 12 stone and make a return to boxing. Stopped the most avoided fighter in the heavyweight division twice off the back of losing all that weight. Wilder, the most avoided fighter, is crazy. Yeah, fought one of the best fighters of the generation that came up and just came up short. No one was posting like that about AJ when he lost. It was fraud. It's crazy.
But you know how it goes, isn't it? That's just the game, isn't it?
Yeah, they need to get their interviews. Let's be real. Tyson Fury's not inviting any of us for an interview. So.
Yeah.
That's how it does.
Why Oscar?
I'm not even, like I said, my thing is, because the fight has happened, I don't even care. When time goes on, all people can see is the record and the highlights of the fight. All the narratives go away. All the bullshit goes away. you can create all the narratives they want for Fury and Wilder and whatnot. But when someone goes back in 20 years and says, let's look at this era, Wilder, who did you fight? We're gonna see a bunch of bullshit, and then Tyson Fury, and he got his head clipped off. Fury, who did you fight? Oh, you fought X. Oh, this is nice. But you fought Usyk and you lost. So all that narrative stuff, I don't even care. I don't care anymore. All I know is the right man won, the right man lost.
Yeah, and that point we made a lot of times on this pod. You put the best guys together. If there is one guy that comes out undefeated, that's the elite, and then everyone else will probably lose. And that's what happened. You put the best guys together, and Fury lost his undefeated record. You put AJ in with Usyk, and he lost twice. You put Wilder in with Fury, and he lost twice. It happens, but that doesn't mean we don't need to see the fights. Like, I still want to see AJ versus Fury. If anyone says otherwise, is an idiot. That's still a big fight. We still want to see it, even if there's no titles on the line.
Yeah.
The entire of the UK will come to a standstill to watch that fight because of the big fan bases, the bragging rights, the stakes involved, how big it could be. So we still got to see it, but man, this week's
we're still seeing that as long as AJ does the job and whoever he fights in September, and Usyk and Fury loses again, takes some time off to heal his wounds, we can see that in 2025. So
yeah, but bro, fam, this week has been such a good week for boxing, man. Just in general, this is why we get the big fights kind of sorted. One fight that I think we will cover before we end it there, because I think this fight, especially in this fighter, deserves our recognition for what he's done in the last 6 months and his work. I think anyone that's not giving him his credit now or his flowers, you're overlooking him, and don't, because he's been overlooked twice and he's determined twice to show you that he's not anything other than good. Is Ajit Caballero. He takes on Frank Sanchez in a WBC eliminator, and he stops him in the 7th round in what was a pretty one-way, traffic only moving in one way, soul-snatching, body-snatching fight, like his fight with Arslanbek Makhmudov. I mean, he really beat up Frank Sanchez and took his soul in that fight, and he looked damn good doing it. Like, this is a guy who will give most heavyweights problems. This is how, and again, this is why you put contenders and the best in with each other. These are two world top 10 heavyweight contenders. You put them in with each other, and now we've got one guy that we can put in a big fight anywhere. Caballero, man, in the last 6 months, he's gone from 0 to hero. My laptop's frozen, so I'm just going to come to one of you first while I sort this all out. Because it always happens to crap laptop. Adam, Caballero, talk to me about Mr. German Turkish.
Yeah, so listen, before 6 months ago, I can't lie, I thought this guy was just an overgrown Gundogan. Like, I didn't think he was going to be anything great like that. When I watched the fight against Twitchneck, was Makhmudov, from there I was sold. I was like, yeah, this guy is going to be a problem. And I said that was a performance that kind of put him in the top 10 heavyweights for me. What we saw yesterday was such a dominant display of relentless pressure and body work, and just seeing the body work catch up to the guy right in front of us. He did not put a foot wrong. He's shown he's durable, and he's got like a very good chin, because Frank Sanchez is a hard hitter, and he ate a couple of big shots and was able to shrug it off. Kept coming forward. Seems like he has great cardio. He's got great punch selection, and was mixing it up very well. Very, very well. The way he stopped the fight with that body jab was just beautiful. Like, I was off my seat thinking, yeah, the punch selection and the way he pulled that shot off. Not many heavyweight fighters would have been able to pull off that stoppage with that finesse, with a body jab. Like, it's crazy. I think he gives so many people problems. He's the real body snatcher. He's who we thought Dylan White is. And from that performance, I'm going to put it out there right now. He beats the likes of Joseph Parker. I haven't been convinced with Parker's resurgence, to be totally honest. I think he beat a piss poor Wilder, and it was a case where Zhang lost the fight for himself more than what Parker did. I think if you put Parker in with Cabello beats him and even potentially stops him.
I agree, boy.
Yeah, so yeah, I've got very high stocks in him. Like the stocks in him after yesterday is just mad. He could go on to be a top 5 heavyweight as well. He's given a lot of people problems.
Dapper, you agree? What did you see last night that made you agree?
Yeah, I've got stocks. Because he was in there with a mover, and that was my big worry for this fight for Caballero. Obviously, Makhmudov isn't known to be this elusive, moving kind of heavyweight. He's just known to have some power, and I thought, okay, cool. He dealt with Caballero quite comfortably. I feel like Sanchez might frustrate him, and I didn't really give Sanchez a round, which was odd, crazy to me. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he was injured or something. I don't know, but that it looked very, very, even before the stoppage, it looked so one-sided to me. And if he keeps getting better and keeps fighting that level, I think, yeah, I'm with Adam, man. I think he would cause Joseph Parker some big problems, because Parker, he depends a lot on his movement, and we've seen Caballero now deal with a mover and be relentless on that pressure and go to the body, go upstairs, and his punch selection as well. Like, he's got variety. I'm so confused where this has all come from. Honestly, like this guy's come out of nowhere, really, really and truly. So I've got small stocks in him. I'm very excited to see where he goes from here. I'm excited to see his next fight. I hope the trajectory is upwards in terms of opponents. I hope he doesn't kind of dip back down in level. I hope he keeps fighting good fighters. And yeah, I'm very, very excited. Obviously, it's only been 2 performances, but this Sanchez one has really surprised me. I didn't see that coming, honestly. In fact, I would say Sanchez was the favorite to win for me. So this has come as a big surprise. I thought it was going to be just a good fight that Sanchez would win, but yeah, Caballero, man, he's showing me something. He's got something for me. Pause.
Chris, he first came up on the scene when he beat to defend his European heavyweight title, Derek Chisora. But then since then, he couldn't get really his fights. He couldn't get many fights. He couldn't get anything going for him. Then there was rumors of him fighting, obviously, Tyson Fury, and then rumors of him fighting AJ, like that they were looking at that. But wow, he's burst onto the scene since then, and he's really taken these opportunities, and he's shot himself so far up the rankings now. What were your thoughts on last night?
I got stocks in Caballero, man, for sure. Really, really impressed with him. I like the way he walked down Sanchez. Like, Sanchez was meant to be the more skilled of the two. He's the one with the better amateur, more extensive amateur pedigree. But he just drowned him out. Didn't give him a look in. We saw him doing it against Makhmudov, and obviously we know Makhmudov is a big guy. He's a massive dude. So when he was able to do that, and I started seeing that early in the fight with Sanchez, I thought Sanchez would be able to maintain the distance a bit more, use his jab, keep him at range. But Caballero was just so good with his punch selection. Go to the body, go to the head, wicked shots to the body. You could see it was really hurting him. Sanchez was taking deep breaths from the second round. And it's weird because it's not even like he wasn't in shape, Sanchez. If you looked at him on a physical aspect, he looked in incredible shape going into the fight. And
he looked like he was taking something.
Yeah, like I think he is. I'll be honest. He looked like he was roided up for sure. Like he was massive. He looked
Sanchez.
more muscular than I've ever seen him.
He's always been built very strong.
Yeah.
The only thing is, we know Renato Camp loves a bit of
So pharmacy.
Extra ingredients, extra seasonings.
Yeah,
But those body shots, lashing him to the body early doors, making him tire out, and then he caught him with the hook to the body. I think that was the first time he went down.
Mhm.
That jab that he finished the fight off with, yeah, fair enough, it's a jab, but he stepped into it so well. So well. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, he's not getting up from that. He's taken the wind completely out of Sanchez. And if we're being honest, a little bit, Sanchez has given up there.
Yeah,
He really has. And it does make you rethink where he stands within the heavyweight division. But I think Caballero will be a problem for a lot of people. I think he stops Dylan White. I don't want to see a Chisora rematch. Parker, I think he hurts Parker. I think he drops Parker. And I also think I said it yesterday. I think he's a nightmare for Deontay Wilder too. I think he's a nightmare for Wilder.
Yeah.
This current Wilder, I think he probably stops this current Wilder.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Going to the body, relentless pressure, put him in on the back foot. Like he's proper. He's a proper problem and test.
My thing is now with Caballero, it's what is next? Who is next? Because he can't be fighting these dark horses anymore. I feel like he's been trying to get rid of all these dark horses for the other maybe more proven heavyweights, so they don't have to fight him. Because I remember Sanchez versus AJ was a fight that was touted. Sanchez versus Fury.
Yeah.
But it was seen as dangerous. And now Caballero's gone and done what he's done. It's like, okay, is Caballero going to get to fight any of these top guys? Probably not.
I think it's a case now where, with that fight, I think he's putting himself first in the rankings for whichever title eliminator it was. And with Usyk and Fury, if they go on to do the rematch, they'll probably have to relinquish all of the belts. So we might have to start seeing some of these fights happen now, which would be good for the heavyweight scene, most definitely.
Who's your ideal opponent for Caballero next?
I think he needs a big name, 100%. I think I like that fight against Joseph Parker. I think Joseph Parker has kind of brought himself back up in the rankings now. He's put himself as a mandatory, I believe, for one of the belts, and that fight for Caballero would be like a great stepping stone. And after that, you could see him go in with an AJ or something of that ilk.
And the thing with Parker is because he hasn't set the world alight with his performances, and AJ has, there's more money on putting AJ in the heavyweight title mix than there is in Parker. And if Parker doesn't want to stay, if he wants to stay active, then yeah, Caballero's there. Do it in September or do it in October on the Fury Usyk rematch if that's going to happen in October. So, Jide, stocks are in on Caballero for you?
Yeah, man, he's impressed me, man. I'm all in, man. What he done to Sanchez, I did not expect it. I didn't initially watch the fight. I watched it back because I was driving to Saints. Yeah, man. I echo everything Chris said. The punch selection, the power, the relentless. He needs to change his name to Body Snatcher. He needs to that is the real Body Snatcher, man. That was some brilliant, beautiful work. And what you guys saying? He's a boogeyman. He's a danger. Guys wouldn't want to fight him for no reason. But that's where we say thank you to Mr. Turkey Al-Rashid. If you want to make that Saudi bag and he tells you need to fight Caballero, you're going to fight him. If I'm trying to build up Caballero, I give him Dillian White, personally. That's a nice win for him.
That's an easy win.
Easy win, big name. And then you can use that to promote a big fight with a Parker or a AJ or something like that. That's what I'll probably do, but it's probably unlikely going to happen because Dillian White's not going to take that fight. Stocks all in. Listen, I'm enjoying this new generation. Like Jololov's coming through. Caballero's now on the cusp of a world title. Usyk, Fury, AJ, they're on their way out. AJ says he's done in the next 2 years. The new generation of heavyweights is looking quite fun, guys. Like initially, I thought it was going to be a massive downturn, but they don't need to be all like god tier skilled fighters. If they look like they can give you great fights, we're gonna be eating. And Caballero's the sort of fighter that you're gonna enjoy his fights. He's a high level operator, like high level.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, man.
Look, that was a great event. That was a great week of boxing. And we're going to be back here again in 2 weeks with the whole 5v5 thing, going over it again, the big fights that we need to cover.
Hey, we're eating, you know. We're eating and boxing, boy.
It's a good time to be a box fan. Next week, you've got Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall, the rematch. Obviously, not the greatest rematches, but still fun fight to look forward to. So there's so much that we're going to be doing over these next couple months. So much to look forward to.
I don't know if you guys call all the fights in the card. That card was really good. That card was really good.
Yeah, it was really stacked and it delivered. A lot of those fights delivered, man. They really did. And this is what we need in boxing, because people are talking about boxing now. Boxing's getting back into the mainstream space, into the mainstream media, into those spaces where they need to be talked about on the highest level. And we just had the biggest fight of the year. So, I mean, I'm just excited for what's next, excited for the future. And yeah, make sure that, you follow us on Twitter at Ringside Fracas. You follow us on Instagram at Ringside Fracas. If you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us 5 stars. And look, we've got so much to do, so much to look forward to. We'll see you next week when we're breaking down what's it called? Josh Taylor Catterall, and then also the 5v5. So see you then. Peace.
Wait, last comment.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yesterday. That night of boxing, you won't ever get that in MMA. Let me just finish the podcast on that.
Yeah,
boxing wins.
Yeah,
you're right, boy.
I'm a fan of both, and I've always said at the highest level, boxing clears MMA. At the highest level, you're not going to get something with more drama, more entertainment, more high level than boxing the way it comes to. So, what a way to end the podcast. Boxing is greater than MMA. See you next week, guys.
Yeah.
Well,